I think there's only one fan base that could get really, really mad at him if he takes too long at this, and I think it's ours. Because we're kind of, over the last 48 hours, we've kind of banked on we're hinging on him probably coming back, or we have to run this thing back. And of the Cavs fans that we talk to every day, it seems that 98% of them say you cannot run this back. You have to do something. And I think that if Miami didn't get LeBron back, it's like, all right, we had LeBron. We don't have LeBron now. No big deal. We got Giannis. That's fine. I think all these other contenders, Minnesota was a contender before LeBron. The Cavs are a contender before LeBron, but it's not the same. And I think a lot of people have hinged it to it. If he takes a inordinate amount of time, Anthony, I really believe, and he doesn't pick Cleveland, I do think that there's going to be some really ill-willed feelings.
I think it'd be devastating. I mean, honestly, I think it'd be devastating, just judging by how people have talked about this team since they've been eliminated. If LeBron James does not come to Cleveland and their offseason is you're just losing players, like, granted, Keon Ellis and whoever else, Dean Wade.
Dean Wade's a loss.
I think people are going to be absolutely devastated, and I don't know how they get people juiced up for tickets next year.
The longer it takes for him to make the decision, is there the more pressure on him to pick Cleveland. So this is setting up where it has to be Cleveland or retirement. If he's going to take this long, because like you heard, Golden State's in the mix. Who are some of the other teams in the mix? Golden State, Philadelphia, and Minnesota. That's what I'm hearing, right? Those teams never had him. So if you've never had him, it's a big deal.
And you can just go back to continuing to hate him if you've already hated him.
And you just go right on back to how you felt about him before. Miami, I don't think he's that, like, Dwayne Wade, I think, is that guy. I think he's really well liked in Miami. I don't think he's beloved in Miami. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I know a lot of people in Miami, they don't seem to say a lot of things about him. Here, 9 out of 10 Cavs fans are telling you that this thing has to be changed around before this season. He is the way that they would change things around. We try to talk the Giannis thing. Giannis was a non-starter here. The Jaylen Brown conversation really was a non-starter just because they didn't want to get rid of Evan Mobley, and they won't do that. So now here's your chance. And if he takes an inordinate amount of time and decides to not choose Cleveland, you use the term devastating.
Yeah, well, devastated because it already feels to a lot of Cavs fans that they've got no shot to win a championship as constituted. We saw what happened against the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. It was a team that had run out of gas, way too reliant on James Harden at 36 years old, who played the most minutes on the team. Like, that shows you where we thought the roster was going into and then what was reality. And then, because of the cap situation, you get squeezed out of 2 role players. One of those role players was a starter in Dean Wade. It's not like you have a bunch of cap space. We're still waiting on the James Harden situation anyway and the restructure. But overall, how does the team present, a real plan about how they're going forward? Well, it made sense. Like, hey, massive upgrade, LeBron James. And then if you get LeBron, who else do you get? And if you don't get LeBron, it's like, what are we doing going into next year? We're just going to rely on James Harden and Donovan Mitchell again and pray that Evan Mobley makes another leap or jump or whatever you want to call it.
Do you think that, so it's not just the devastating thing, which I think you have a point there. Do you think that people will lose patience with LeBron over the next couple of weeks? Because some people said, like, oh my gosh, this thing might not be done until August. It's like, well, you got to get going here, man.
We've been annoyed by LeBron before. Look, we were devastated when he left the first time. He made up for it by coming back and then helping assemble a championship team and then a team that won the title. And oh, by the way, you got to the NBA Finals 4 straight years. You'll probably never do that in any of the teams in town. You'll never get to 4 straight, whether it's the Super Bowl, whether it's the World Series, that'll just never happen again. So it was unparalleled success and achievement and a championship breakthrough. So to me, that completely negated him leaving the first time around. And then he left again, and it was like, yeah, but he won the title. Whatever. Some people were really mad. I was not. So would I be... to set that up, the whole thing I was saying was we've been annoyed by LeBron before. We'll be annoyed by him again. But in the end, this is just a year, 2 years max, and then we'll put up a statue.
Well, I'm turning this into a deposition. I'm sorry. But do you think that Rick Bucher then had a point about the interest that's in LeBron? Because if he continues to stretch this out, like there might be a law of diminishing returns here. Because Rick Bucher said, like, hey, he's 41.
Yeah.
The interest in LeBron is not where it used to be as far as where NBA teams are concerned. I think that he has a point when it comes to GMs. I don't think he has a valid point when it comes to owners. I think any owner would pick him up because they know that that's a cash cow waiting to happen. But over the next, like, if he takes until August, if he were to take until, like, August 1, and that's a long time from now. I mean, it's only January, or it's only July 7th.
Well,
that's forever.
That hinders your ability to build the team.
Exactly.
Like, I know there have been a record amount of free agents that have not been signed because of this cap situation. It's why you're seeing guys like Kyle Kuzma and others around the league go, why did we do this again? Wait, we got incredible money from the national TV deal. I know local money took a hit, but we got this huge TV deal. And for what? For a bunch of free agents not to be able to get signed? Like, what did we do here? What was our CBA? This is terrible. So we're kind of at a standstill on a lot of this. And if you are waiting for LeBron and you're the Cavs, other teams don't have to wait. The Cavs kind of have to. We kind of are, in a way, held hostage by this because it was one of our only mechanisms to improve the team materially.
But what are we supposed to, like, I can't put a deadline on it.
No, I mean,
because I
just gotta
can't.
wait.
If I call him and say, all right, your deadline is July 16th. Okay, great.
Yeah, he'll just go somewhere else.
He'll just go either that, or he'll push you to the limit, and he'll make his decision on July 17th. And what are you going to do? Are you going to say no? Like this is where it's becoming a little bit difficult, I think, for a Cavs fan here. Because if you have him, you're going to feel a lot better about your season. Now, I think there's going to be a lot of teams that are still ahead of you. West Coast and East Coast, if I'm adding it up. Now, not that many, but there's going to be teams that are ahead of you in terms of their championship odds. But if you don't have them, you know you don't have a chance. And I think that powerless feeling kind of reminds an old Cavs fan of the way they felt from the time he got drafted to the time he left the first time. Because that was a powerless feeling going, what are we going to do to be able to keep this guy? Now it's not about keeping him. He can't be around very, very much longer. But what are we going to do to bring him in? What can we do to bring him in? I mean, like the story that came out, and I forget which one it was because there's 1,000 different writers that are coming out with 1,000 different insider information. Not that none of them are true. There's just a lot to take in. And the one was he's waiting on one of these teams to make a move. What move am I supposed to make right now? What move with my four guys right there, with Mitchell, Harden, Mobley, and Allen, what move can I make that is necessitating LeBron saying yes? Like, I almost have to call Rich Paul, which he's the agent, and his company is the one that has the agency for a lot of players, so maybe that's not a far call to make or a far drive to take. Maybe I got to call Rich Paul and go, if I make this move, will this solidify the deal with LeBron? I mean, it just sounds nuts. It sounds nuts for a 41-year-old man, but also I have no other choice, guys. I have no other choice. I have no other choice but to sit here and deal with it, Anthony.
Yeah, but I guess maybe you could take comfort in the fact that a lot of other teams can't really make moves either. I mean, there's so many moves given the cap that there's not a lot of flexibility in turn. I mean, maybe there's some moves on the surface you could do afterwards, but it would involve, bringing in other teams. You have to get some cooperation. The reality is that, like, LeBron is going to make his decision. And I listen, we were pretty, I'd say by the end of the weekend, we were pretty optimistic about all this. And then you saw another little wrinkle. Did you see who was the guest coach of the Summer League team?
Romeo Travis.
Romeo Travis. Did you see who LeBron was hanging out with in Akron?
Was it Romeo Travis?
Brandon Weems.
Oh, okay.
Like who could be the next GM of the Cavs. Like, if he just ends up picking the Cavs, we're all going to go, oh, this was out there in plain sight. I mean, he was getting nostalgic. He went and hung out with his former Cavs teammates for 10 years, talked about how great Cleveland was. Then he came back. Then he hung out with his high school teammates at Akron St. Vincent St. Mary. And then, oh, by the way, the Cavs gave a job to Romeo Travis for the Summer League team. Like, there is a lot of stuff that is coming together at the same time to make it seem like this was right here in plain sight.
But you can't guarantee everything.
No guarantee.
I do think that there's two things that are working with you and working, and it can work one way or the other. I can't look at nostalgia and say that's the only reason for it. I think he spent the last 8 years as a business partner. I think to some level he feels a little bit disrespected because of the championship that they won that nobody really counts. So I think he feels disrespected. I think that I was amazed at the amount of people when I put him in that Laker category about where he stands with the Lakers last week, and people are going, Kenny, you're forgetting Elgin Baylor. And I'm like, guys, I thought Elgin Baylor was a great player, but I never got to see him, and I know he was a long, long time ago. LeBron is arguably the greatest of all time. And it's like, nope, you're forgetting Elgin Baylor. And then if you're mentioning head coaches, like you're forgetting Pat Riley, you're forgetting Phil. Like, a good God, are some of you going to put Del Harris ahead of him? I think that's been a disrespect for him for the last 8 years. But I know I can't put nostalgia on it because that type of feeling he may have might just have a feeling going, there's going to be better teams that have a better chance to win a championship. Jaylen Brown going to Philadelphia changes their odds. Minnesota, obviously, is that conversation. Golden State, even though it might be the over-the-hill gang, it's going to be a really good over-the-hill gang there. So there's opportunities there to go. Now, I don't think Golden State has a better chance than we do, but I use these examples of going, I can't just sit there and tug at his heartstrings and think that's the only reason here. But damn it, I look at that lineup that would be around him as of right now, which I know you probably have to move on from one of these guys to make this work. But even if we're Jared Allen, Mitchell, Harden, Mobley, and LeBron James is a damn good lineup there. Damn good lineup.
It is, and they would absolutely be formidable. They would absolutely have a say as long as they're healthy. They'd have a say on who comes out of the East. They would. Ask any honest Knicks fan if they were better off, if they felt better off seeing either Dean Wade or Max Strus last year compared to LeBron. Like, they would tell you, yeah, we'd have rather seen Dean Wade, Max Strus.
I'll tell you this. There was a feeling that I had when LeBron left in 2018. I never thought he was coming back. And it took me a long time to even believe he was going to come back. But I thought that we would never see a team like this ever again. A team like that ever again, a chance to win a championship. I thought that was out the window. Now, they've proved me wrong. This is a very good basketball team. And I feel much better about it, and I feel better about Cavs basketball moving forward. And I will say, as long as Dan Gilbert's the owner, he's willing to throw money around. I understand that he's not a perfect owner. No owner is, for crying out loud. Remember, owners aren't meant to be liked. But Dan Gilbert has proven time and time again he's willing to spend almost anything to win a championship, which is half the battle with a lot of these guys. You see what's going on over there in Portland right now. But now, when you have him back on this team, there will be challenges in the future of the hard cap. Now you have more on Kobe Altman that he has to do, but at least they proved it to me. If I can have him back, I still have confidence that if LeBron comes back and say he gives you 2 years, which we'll argue about that later on because there is the conversation about 1 year or 2 years with LeBron, but say he gives us 2 years, I do have confidence that given the ownership, if they have the right people as general manager, you can't keep Kobe Altman forever, and certainly he's fallible, that they could still put together a really great basketball team in the future that could compete for a championship again. I see this, this is 8 different champions over the last 8 years, Anthony. We keep bringing that up. I mean, they're more like the NFL than what the NFL is like when they claim to have their parity. I mean, this is something. So you can't tell me they can never build a winner without LeBron ever again. So I feel better about the chances of him coming back, or I feel better about him coming back. And it's not like, well, we either have to have LeBron or we never have a chance at this thing. I feel better about him coming back, and then I feel better about the afterwards. Even though there will be struggles, I feel better about the afterwards and the future after LeBron, Anthony.
Yeah, obviously, look, their future has to not involve LeBron James, which, this Donovan Mitchell era has been without LeBron James, and they've been pretty damn good in the regular season. They've had terrible flameouts in the postseason. They also got the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
But it's pretty clear right now they could use LeBron James, which is,
weird thing to say.
It's a weird thing to say.
They could use him instead of they have to have him and we'll pull out all the stops no matter what.
Yeah. It's a swan song situation anyway, but it's a guy who's still playing at a very high level. I brought up the Kobe Bryant last year. They only won like 17 games that last year, and nobody cared. This, you could win and still have that documentary type season that we're going to remember forever. That's what I think is very, very cool about this situation.